Other commissioners wish to make comment? Commissioner Fink.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a prepared speech. I was more interested in listening and taking notes from the folks that came in the audience today, and I want to thank you for coming. There's no one that is more concerned about making sure that we're well trained than we are. And I, too, have been through sexual harassment trainings in corporations and read our policies several times now. But one of the points that seems to be really important here is what you brought forward. Do we take the time to look at the policy that exists today and see how it applies or should not apply to us? I got to tell you, I was the first to be surprised to find out that the current policy did not apply to us. I was also surprised to find out that I was not an employee of St. Louis County. I was also the first to say, during the discussions that we had on Rocker's concern, that we split the 6 items that were on the list. 3 of them were censures, 3 of them were policy. I said, if you split those into policy issues, I'll support those, because there's some things that need to be done. But on the censure portion, that's a different vote. And that's one of the points that you kind of seem to miss in the course of the discussion here. I think you're right on target that policy should be established that make St. Louis County as strong as it can be. But let me tell you, somebody in this room is I'm their commissioner. And some others who spoke today are commissioners, other commissioners work for them. But you know what? Collectively, we also work for you as a county, and I think that it's really important to recognize that those individual concerns that we have on this board has to be worked out through some collective discussion. I read a headline that said something to the effect, are you dysfunctional as a county board? And my first thought on that was, because we disagree, because we were slow to react to 2 separate issues, that's not dysfunctionality. That's trying to come to consensus on what it is that we should be addressing and what we shouldn't be addressing. Dysfunction is when this board decides on something and a person or persons in minority go out and say, wait a minute, the majority was wrong. And we're going to fix that by going somewhere else. But collaboration and discussion and debate is when we disagree and then look for common ground. And on the issues that we're talking about that are related to these particular allegations are in fact about 2 separate issues. One is policy, for which most of us are supportive. The question is, how do we find one that makes sense? Because I'll tell you what, I read very carefully the draft policies that are here. And you know what it starts off saying? The employees will. And it continues through each of the documents that are in there. It says the employees will, and they will follow the following guidelines. And then at the very end it says, oh, by the way, county commissioners can sign on to have those apply to them as well. You know what? That's not good policy. And we should not be directing and putting policy together when you're under fire. You really need to take time to sit back and think. For example, the bridge fell and everybody wanted a gas tax right now. But legislature and the governor is talking about it and trying to decide whether the tax is the right thing or how you go about it. In developing policy, it should be our job to make sure